was careful not to put one gift of the Spirit before another. He gave space to acts of service, not just to words from the mouth. But he understood that it's natural to be impressed by some things. Some things cause our head to turn. Our heads turn when there's speaking in tongues or spectacular miracle healings. Maybe we don't notice when a kind word of prayer with a friend changes that person's life. Or when a faithful therapist slowly brings an invalid back to community life. But in all of these, both the spectacular and the unseen, God is at work. Today, Paul makes it clear with his thoughts about the body. The idea of status is human nature. It's a fact. So we make a fuss about our face, maybe. Okay? If it's a woman, then we've got eyeshadow and mascara to give special honour to the eyes. Yes? And even gentlemen will choose sunglasses and so forth with particular care. Yes? People look at this part of us. Did I show you this one?
I did.
Okay. There's lipstick. There's lipstick to give, you know, to enhance the line of the mouth. I didn't use it this morning, but I know it's one of the things we do, right? Jewellery can hang from our ears and from our fingers.
Women.
Okay.
Not men.
Well, no, maybe. But of course, men do notice.
Oh, no.
So, you know, this is a message for all of us, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, so is the body equipment that makes us mothers and fathers. The key to the next generation. We don't put that on show, although it's certainly important. It's not logical, but that's human nature. We must overcome our human nature and value every servant role, because of course, Paul is talking about the body as a metaphor for the church.
Sure.
Yeah. We value every servant role, every job that anyone might do to build up the body of God.
That's it.
As we saw last week, sometimes it can be good to have 2 or more roles. That helps us understand both that humble tasks have dignity and also that high-profile jobs, they have their trials. But that was last week. After all this, after telling us that every role is important, that everything has its place, Paul then throws us a curveball, a surprise. What are the last words we heard today? But strive for the greater gifts. So, which gifts did he think were greater?
Love.
Well, we're getting to that. But here, just in the passage we've read today, let's look at verse 28. In verse 28, he makes a list. And the numbers do seem to be in order of importance. God placed in the church, first of all, apostles.
That's right.
Second, prophets. Third, teachers. It really does sound like ranking. Okay. Then miracles. Interesting, isn't it? The proclamation, the sharing of the word, comes before miracles.
That's right.
Yeah. Miracles are a pointer. Miracles are one way of talking, if you like, of giving communication. But there's nothing quite like telling the word plainly, maybe. Okay, so what's apostles, prophets, teachers, miracles, then gifts of healing, of helping, of guidance, and of different kinds of tongues. It does seem that he's saying that while different tongues are fine, they're also the last thing you should really be hanging out for.
Yeah. If for you.
Yeah. But it still does feel a bit awkward, a bit strange. What is this about striving? Strive for for the greater gifts. Isn't a gift just a gift? I mean, aren't they just what God has chosen to grant us through grace? Isn't it like our personality, you know? Our natural gifts are what God gave us, aren't they?
That's right.
So, a good speaker might make a good prophet, maybe. Maybe. But maybe it's not that simple. Moses wasn't a great speaker to begin with, but God worked with him to overcome that. Remember, Aaron helped out at first, but in the end, Moses led with strength. Paul says, strive for the greater gifts. But we stop reading halfway through verse 31, according to the lectionary that we follow. Yeah, he actually has a better thought. His next words are, and yet I will show you the most excellent way. That's what's coming next. So if we peek into the next chapter of 1 Corinthians, we see where Paul is heading. We're on 1 Corinthians 12. What follows 12?
18.
What number is, what's 12 plus 1?
13.
13. 1 Corinthians 13.
Boy, clap me.
Okay.
It never won.
That's right.
If you peek into the 1 Corinthians
Love
13,
chapter.
yes, exactly. You see where Paul is heading. There are qualities more fundamental than these gifts. Whether we name them gifts, fruits, or pillars of life in God, there are three that Paul names in chapter 13. Faith, hope, and love.
That's right.
You know, Paul writes from experience. How did this man Paul start? This great pastor who writes with such compassion. He started as a hater.
That's right.
He hated Christians, and he was happy to see them die. He was there when Stephen, the first martyr, was stoned to death.
That's right.
This is the same guy. He was Saul then, and then he became Paul, right?
That's right.
Faith, hope, and love. Which is the greatest of these?
Love.
Hey, right in one.
And now word for word.
Yes. So often we hear this passage at weddings because love is
That's
what
right.
has brought the two
Yeah.
together.
That's true.
Yeah. But of course, love is more general than that. Love covers everything. And that's really what Paul is saying. The gifts of the tongue can sound ugly, and the most powerful achiever can appear offensive without this thing that Saul the hater needed to become Paul the apostle. Paul moved from hate to the principle greater than any one spiritual gift, the one that suffuses all of them, the one that makes them all work. And that is, of course, as has been said, love.
Oh, Son of the Lord.
So may we be agents of your love, Lord, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.